some of the boys definitely looked a little bit down in the immediate aftermath of that game on Saturday. How have you seen the spirit since then?
Yeah, it's normal, right? After battling and after working so hard for over 86 minutes, it's obvious that they were going to be disappointed with the result or with the outcome of the game. But on the other side of the coin, I think they've done a massive effort. They've proven that they've shown what we can do, even with a man less. And at the end of the day, I think this is a game that is going to hurt. This is a game that it was disappointed after the referee blew the whistle at the end. But this is a game that I can guarantee you it's gonna add a lot to us. It's gonna add fuel to the fire. The boys are not hurt. The boys are not down. The boys are more motivated. The boys are upset, and I can guarantee you that they're gonna show up on Saturday, whatever they need to show to prove that we want to put this team as high as we can on the table.
What about performance-wise? You've talked a lot about how, like, after games the emotions are high and that can sometimes cloud what you thought the performance was. So when you watch back the game, did you think there were a lot more positives necessarily?
Yeah, in a game like this one, because of the situation and circumstances, there's a lot more positives than negatives, especially because you're playing a man down. Because with a man down, you still manage to score a very good goal. With a man down, you still manage at times to keep the balls when we had to keep it. And also that we had the opportunity to try to get behind them in a few opportunities. With the game 1-0, we had the opportunity to go up in the game. Sadly, we didn't, and then it cost us at the end. There's always things to feel good about. There's always strengths to keep getting stronger, but also there's you know me by now. I'm huge on reflecting, and there's also a lot of things that we need to keep improving, especially in the defending phases of the game, to try to avoid those late goals. Even though we defended for the majority of the games and the boys did a great job, there's still things that we can improve.
Do you feel like the team carried some of the positive qualities of the Monterey Bay result into the San Antonio game?
Yeah, well, qualities and mostly it was character. It was character because 9 minutes in, you receive a red card, then it makes it really hard. It makes it difficult for the boys to fight back, also to play the way we want to play versus a team that men mark all over the field. Then on top of that, they have numerical advantage. It becomes very difficult to play the way we want to play, but we still found the ways to get behind them and go forward and throw punches, even being at a disadvantage. So that is something to feel proud of.
Was that the most adversity you guys have seen in a game so far this year against San Antonio?
Listen, we played San Antonio twice. The first time we played them, I believe we were 10 men down probably for over 45 minutes. Now we played them again and we were 10 men down for over 80 minutes. So I hope this year, and I want it to be this year, gives us the ability to play versus them for over 95 minutes with equality in numbers, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Juan, ¿nos puede hablar acerca de lo que pasó el sábado, especialmente en los últimos minutos?
Sí, un partido cerrado, un partido complicado, en el cual estábamos con desventaja numérica desde el minuto 9, si no me equivoco, y bueno, un partido que al final logramos irnos arriba en el resultado, y los últimos minutos se nos vinieron encima, empezaron a tirar más pelotazos al área y nada, consiguen un gol faltando 3-4 minutos para el descuento, y después en una última jugada del partido en la cual hubo falta de comunicación, un pelotazo al espacio y se cometen 2 errores individuales que terminan en gol. Así que al final no puedo juzgar a los jugadores por dos jugadas completamente difíciles en esos momentos, después de estar peleando por tanto tiempo con 10 jugadores, pero sí definitivamente tenemos que seguir mejorando, tenemos que seguir apretando porque se nos escapan puntos en casa que a lo mejor pudimos haber prevenido y no se hubiesen escapado.
¿Van a apelar la tarjeta roja de Manuel Arteaga?
Manuel Arteaga está suspendido solo por un partido, lo cual para mí no tiene ningún sentido. Si es una tarjeta roja por agresión sin balón, es una tarjeta roja que es de 2 partidos. Entonces que la liga dé un solo partido después de ver el video, yo creo que claramente demuestra que nunca debió haber sido una tarjeta roja.
Y después de este tipo de partido, ¿qué se le dice al equipo, no? Anímicamente a lo mejor están un poco bajos, ¿qué se les dice al equipo para seguir adelante?
Que hay que pasar la página inmediatamente, que nos enfoquemos en lo que se hizo bien, que no seamos no caigamos en la tentación de pensar de que se perdió y lo que se hizo no estuvo bien. Yo creo que hubo muchísimas cosas más que se ganaron que 3 puntos. El otro día sí, perdimos 3 puntos, pero te puedo mencionar 10 cosas positivas que se ganaron. Entonces eso va a ser importante de cara al final del campeonato y te lo aseguro que va a ser mucho más importante que 3 puntos.
Y al profe le quería preguntar acerca de los rumores de Kevin Lambert. Salieron en redes sociales acerca de que a lo mejor no termina la temporada con el equipo de Phoenix. ¿Qué tanto puede hablar acerca de eso?
No, en este momento no puedo hablar mucho sobre eso. Vamos a ver hasta que el club pueda dar un statement oficial.
Same question then in English, if we can.
How do you know what I said?
Thanks, Grandma.
No, I was just going to say, at this moment we're going to wait for the team to put an official release. At the moment I just can't talk about it.
Have you heard anything from the league about what happened post-game with San Antonio?
No, there's an ongoing, I believe there's an ongoing investigation, and same thing, we're just going to have to wait for the league to see what's going to happen with that. With that being said, is if there's no space in this game or in the world for racism, that has to stop. So whether it happened or not, this is something that as soon as something happens, we need to act up.
You look at the way that perhaps the positioning of the way players are warming up there right in front of the south end possibly adds to rising the temperature. Do you think that's something the team needs to look at and maybe designate slightly different spots for warm-ups, maybe along the touchline instead?
Honestly, Owen, I don't think so, because at the end of the day, when you go to away fields and where you go to other parts of the world and countries, is the team warms up where the space to warm up is. At the end of the day, whoever's in the stands needs to understand how they have to behave. They need to understand the culture and the values that they need to follow, and also the personnel that's on the field, being players, coaches, staff, whoever it is that is on the field, needs to understand as well how they need to behave. And at the end of the day, it's about cooperating, it's about understanding, and it's about not crossing lines that should never be crossed, regardless if you're in the stands or regardless if you're on the field. I've been in both, and at times you need to understand that when you're on an away field, there's going to be a hostile environment, and they're going to scream things at you, and sometimes you need to understand how to deal with them. But listen, if there's a line that is crossed, it's what I just said before. To me, that's unacceptable, and that should never happen. And we just have to be cautious, because when those things happen, we need to address them, and then they need to stop.
Looking at El Paso, what do you make of them? I know they're in a dip of form right now.
It's a good team. It's a good team full of good players. It's a coach that likes to play with, utilize possession to progress up the field. It has some players that I'm very familiar with. The goalkeeper from El Paso spent the majority of the time with us last year in California, and it's a good team, man. It's a good team, and I think it's going to be a good battle of identities, because it's a similar identity with a similar game model, and I think it's going to be a very good soccer game. For us, it's about how can we control the game with the ball, how can we progress the field, but also be very, very solid defensively, especially playing at home under the heat that we're going to have on Saturday night. Being very cautious that we can keep the 0. That's going to be important, because when teams have come here like Colorado, like Oakland did, we're the ones that are controlling the games, we're the ones that are going forward, but then we end up conceding first. Then it changes the game. It makes it so difficult, because teams just bunkered in and they get very, very in a low block with no spaces, and it's hard for us to exploit them. So as long as we can keep the 0 and we can play the way we've been playing at home, I think it's going to put us in a very good situation to be successful.
Miami came away with obviously quite a big win over El Paso in that last game. What do you think they did so well in that match?
They were very clinical. First of all, it's Miami is not an easy trip. It's a tough trip. You go to Miami, you step out to warm up at 6 p.m. and you were there and I was there. You know how hot it is. You know how humid it is, especially for the teams that are traveling west to east. So it makes it a very, very difficult game to play. Then on the field, they were very clinical. I think they were vertical at the moments that they had to be vertical. but also Miami was able to keep the ball, to keep possession a bit more than what they had to, and they were able to stretch El Paso a bit more than normal. And then listen, it's a team that they've been struggling. It's not a secret for anybody. And when you're not in a good form or run of games, and you're on the road, and then you start losing, and you see yourself losing 1-0, 2-0, then the players can put their heads down, and then the lines start to open up, and that's what I think happened in Miami. But under no circumstance, I think El Paso is a bad team. El Paso is a very, very good team that is going through a turbulent moment that we all see in this country. Is such a long year and such a long season that there's periods where teams go through that turbulent time. But as soon as these guys pick up again, I think they're going to be able to show what they've been showing the past months.
It seems like as much as both fullbacks like to attack, it's a lot of Mark Navarro on the right, and then his relationship with Kostic on that right side. Is that something you guys have looked at and tried to find maybe a different way to stop them?
Yeah, well, absolutely. At the end of the day, you have to make sure that you can counter and you can protect yourself from their strengths, and their right side of the field is definitely one of those. But also it's how can then we counter it and also hurt them in the spots that they're weak. Like I said, they're a very good team. We have them at home. We have to be the ones that are the aggressors. We have to be the ones that control the game. We have to be the ones that go forward. And I also want to see what's going to be their behavior. Is it going to be like Oakland? Is it going to be like Colorado, that they sat in a very low block? Is it going to be like San Antonio, that they started men marking very high up the field? I want to see what's the behavior that they're going to adopt when they come over here, and then it's up to us to be able to do what we need to do to get a result.
And then you just talked about how they're kind of in a tough spot. For you as a coach, what are some of the things that you go through your head trying to problem solve to get out of difficult spots and put yourself in Brian's shoes?
No, you just put one foot in front of the other. You just have to make sure that you focus on the process. That to me is key, and that to me is a balance of everything. It's focusing on Mondays, focusing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It's one day at a time, making sure that we're hitting all the right areas and the things that we need to improve, and also keep getting stronger at the things that we're doing well. Focus on the day-to-day, making sure that we can provide for the players, and that the players feel comfortable, they feel safe, that they feel important. And if we do that with the team that we have and with the amount of games that there's left on the season, if you focus on the process, I think you're going to get the results sooner or later.
Then
Go ahead, Owen.
Cruising at the moment, where's he in his recovery?
He's still recovering little by little. He's still with the hamstring, so we'll see. I don't think he's going to be part of the game this weekend, but we're just going to try to get him back as soon as we can.
Anybody else with any fitness concerns? Or
As of now, let me see. Now done. He received a concussion the other day in training, and I think that's it for now. So we'll see. Hopefully, everybody's healthy by the end of the week. That's going to be important to be at full strength.